I always just try to teach. So I've dealt with customers my whole life, and it's customers don't know. They don't go to schools. They don't have to worry about they just trust a plumber they hire to do things. So I always everything I try to do, I try to teach from or explain more, not teach. I don't like to instruct people or, preach, but more instruct people on the idea of how they would perceive it, because they have zero understanding. So you got to not treat them like an idiot, but treat them in a way that the most basic way you can describe something. And I never saw myself as that person. I'm the perpetual, I'm not qualified to do that. And I think as you get older, the more became of seeing so much bad work and so many bad things and so many people that just don't know what they're talking about, preaching online, especially, you go on Facebook sites and you see these things. It's like, oh my God, this guy, he's giving out such bad information. And I also really enjoy the short attention span. Look, get to the point, say what you got to say, get the information out there. I don't need the 16 pages before the cookie recipe. Just give me the information. I can't, the same thing Jimmy talks about, that his videos were sped up because he doesn't want the BS that's in it. He wants the information and get that to the people as directly as he can.
Welcome back to Create and Connect the podcast. I'm Tom, your host from the Phoenix Woodshop. Today's guest is Dave Doherty of DTB Fabrication. He's a plumber, a welder, and a fabricator, and anything else that he can get his hands on. He's also the welding champion of Maker Camp 2025 from the Lincoln Electric Tent. And let's welcome Dave. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tom.
So I was really nice to get to meet you at Maker Camp. You were working with Curtis Bowen. You were doing the copper foil bending, and that seemed like a really nice group of guys and a nice weekend. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to join you guys. I was also doing the stained glass at the same time.
Yeah, I actually did the stained glass the year before.
Yeah, it was pretty funny because Keith from Blackthorn Concept, he would, walk around and say, yeah, I figured you'd be doing your logo. You did your logo. I did my logo. So I guess we're on the same algorithm, I guess.
Yeah, I try to keep it simple. I stick to what I know.
Yeah. And what's funny is I was asking him, I was like, what is DTB? Is that like his full name? And he's like, oh, no, you'd have to ask him. I couldn't tell you. And I was like, what?
Yep, that would be, that's Dave, Tom, and Bill. So Tom's my brother and Bill's my father. And we've been working together for, my whole life. And my brother's 48. So, yeah, we've been a trio kind of for a long time, and kind of every avenue of the side work, the day-to-day, the everything. We've gotten a lot of work done.
But so not the Instagram. It was
only fitting when I started my own business that I'd, pay respect where it's due.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. So now are you still all working together?
Yeah, my father actually just retired about a year and a half ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's enjoying I don't know if he's enjoying it, actually. He's probably not enjoying it. He's going stir crazy. But no, he's, he finally, 66 years he's been working, so he finally got to hang it up, and yeah, he's milling around, and my brother and I still work together, yeah.
Is he your dad snowbirding? Is he going down south?
Nah, he's never shied away from anything. He's not much of a beachcomber. We'll do a
you guys
vacation here and there.
You got crushed this winter. Holy cow.
Yeah, it's actually the snow. I don't care about the snow, but man, it was cold. It's been cold for too long.
Yeah, and when it's cold and you're working with the metal and the steel and the cast iron, it's cold.
It's even every little thing, it's handling the material. Like, even if you're working in a nice shop, it's you got to go out and get something. You got to unload the truck. Everything's just makes everything more dreary. You
get to enjoy summer much more. You have a greater appreciation for the nicer weather.
It really does, having the door open and the birds chirping I don't know, it puts a different spring in your step.
Well, I think we actually might be distant cousins because Doherty is my mother's maiden name, and it's spelt the same way.
Really?
Yeah, and my grandfather came to the country through Boston.
No kidding.
Yeah, so he came in, so my grandfather is from Roscommon. He came to the country 1919 and on a boat, and he had a cousin in Boston, and he got him a job in a latex glove factory or rubber glove factory manufacturing gloves.
No kidding.
He hated it. And he heard that New York City had a great St. Patrick's Day parade. So like a good Irishman, he hustled down to New York, Had too much, got arrested, and stayed. Got married and had a family.
Now that's a story right there. That's an Irish tale, actually. Yeah, we had my grandfather was born in 1910, I believe. He was a World War II vet. He was in the South Pacific.
Wow.
And my father was born in 52. He was older when he had kids, and I have my father and my aunt as Dohertys. My mother was a Fitzpatrick. And let me see here, I believe my father had 47 aunts and uncles. And that's what they grew up in Cambridge, just outside of Boston. So if there was another Doherty out there, I believe it. I believe it for sure.
I'm sure, related by Bog at least.
Certainly.
Yeah. So I like seeing all the cars in the background. Which is what's your favorite car?
Ooh, my favorite car.
How many does a family own altogether? How many
I choose my brother. My father's got most of the stuff is his, but there's probably 20 to 2, something like that, somewhere around there. In various stages. Mine are in various stages of disarray, so it's actually run and drive.
What's your favorite?
Mine, it was never my thing when I was younger. I've always been a Mopar guy, whether it was A body, B body, muscle cars, but I got a 28 Ford Model A, and
wow.
it's mostly all original. It's got juice brakes, a couple of converted pieces, but it's really growing on me. It's slow as a dry snail. It doesn't have any shine to it. It's just really cool that in 2 years I'm going to drive a 100-year-old car.
Yeah. Can you drive it on Jimmy's track? Will it make the turns?
Yeah, it's probably about the size of a go-kart. I don't understand what people, like, when did we get so big? And I'm not a big guy, but holy smokes, everything is tiny.
Yeah, that's cool.
Other than that, yeah, still I'd have to say the Roadrunner. It's just always, since I was a little kid, it's just fascinating. It's the fact that they actually made a car with a cartoon on it. It's just
what
cool.
Color?
Red. That's actually the one that's just over my shoulder there.
Oh, very cool. That's
my brother bought one. Let's see, he's 5. My brother bought his when he was 15. So I was 10 years old when my brother bought his Roadrunner. So it's always just kind of been in my life.
That's
and
cool.
Now each one of us have one.
That's great. Yeah, 22 cars. You can only drive one at a time.
Yeah, that's right. And there's always a dead battery and bad fuel or a gummed up carburetor in any one you want to drive. That's a law of nature.
So I see you at a lot of the different events. You're planning on going to Sparks and Sawdust down in Alabama?
I actually that's why I had to ask you to do this a little bit later. I just finished loading Chad's new to him plasma table on my truck. And getting that all buttoned down. Shipping was a bad idea. I shouldn't have offered him shipping. That was a bad idea. But no, luckily I was going down for Sparks and Sawdust anyway, and I knew I'd be there.
Well, I'll be there. I think I might actually be sharing the Airbnb with you.
Oh, you're over there?
Tony?
Yeah, Tony?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. There's definitely some conversations that are going on in the group chat that I don't want to be a part of.
Yeah, I think I self-opted out of some of those. I'll just wait till the next one.
Nothing's that important on that group text right now.
Yeah, you know what? I know how to find his house. I've been there twice already, so I'll be good. I'll find out when I get there.
When did you first meet Chad?
Chad, that was at the Monsoon Maker Camp.
Oh, okay.
I stayed. So they were going down. I knew it was going to rain that day. I was up at Jimmy's house, and I knew they were planning. I knew Eric and Andrew were planning to do that power hammer and get a lot of stuff done. And Jimmy was going to have people come back and see it at the end of the day and hope to have it running. So I kind of like, hey, Jimmy, you mind if I hang back around here with these guys? I don't want to go sit in the rain. He goes, oh, no, that'd be great if you can help out. And, if you can run back and forth and get parts from or whatever. And that turned into just such a great day. Eric is an amazing wealth of knowledge, hand tool rescue, and Andrew just anything that has to do with blacksmithing in history. He's a crazy Texan in the best ways, and that was so much fun getting to spend a day with them. And once it got later in the day and people kind of, I don't know, it must have been 20, 30 people came back to the garage and Jimmy's other shop there. And I don't know, I welded like a little, I think the arm for the clutch or something, and I was kind of bent over and I looked to my left and there was Papa Chad in all his glory, the beard, the hat, I just remember thinking, who in the hell is that? And then, then the accent came. He was, it's coming along pretty good, huh, son? I was like, what the? Yeah, that was my first introduction to Chad. And, just blossomed from there. He's such a good guy.
Yeah, it's great when you're able to meet somebody and just have friendship from Jump Street. It's great.
Yeah, and explaining to people stuff like that, oh, I'm going down to Alabama. For what? My buddy lives down there. you have a friend in Alabama? Like, how do you, I'm not military, nothing. That's like, how did you meet? And, went to this maker camp. I went to this, or I did that, or, friends in California. I went out last year to California with my son to the Maribray guys and Kevin and Eric. And, and I tell people, why? I'm like, I'm bringing out a pot to them. What is wrong with you? But
Where are they in California?
They are just, what's it called? They call it the high desert, but it's just outside LA, like before you drop down into LA in the mountains.
Do you have a neighborhood?
I did. I don't now. That's what I was trying to think of. I forget. So I know we dropped right into Ranchero. That's where we stayed, but we were back up there on the, what was the name of that place?
Where'd you fly into?
I drove all the way out.
Oh, you drove? Wow.
Yeah.
How long?
The total trip, my son and I, we did 7,205 miles.
Well, how many days?
We did it in 9 days.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I did that not this past summer, the summer before, 9 days with my two boys.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah,
it was. I actually had a gantry crane, and Kevin reached out, and he's like, wow, that's kind of the one I need. And we looked up shipping, went back and forth. I go, hey, can you wait till my son gets out of school? You in a hurry? I'll just bring it out. He's like, okay, if you want to. And yeah, so we drove out. We went down through Missouri and Kansas, hit some stops, but then the way back, we went down through Arizona and Oatman and New Mexico, all across West Texas into Austin, up to Dallas, went through Shreveport, stopped at a couple museums there, went to Chad's, spent the night over there, and kind of bounced up through Gettysburg. And yeah, we hit a little bit of everything we could find.
That's a great trip. Holy cow.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And you ever think the maker community would afford you to do something like that?
No, honestly, I never even... for so long, the maker community was just, for what I knew, there was no maker community. It was just everybody had that guy that had a Bridgeport in a shed, and then another guy that knew how to weld aluminum in a pinch, or this guy was a plumber, and this guy made cabinets on the side. And, but there was no community to it. It was more just, hey, go see so-and-so. He's the guy that knows how to do that. Or, go see Harry. He's the guy that can fix that. And, and then when it grew into what it's become, that it's an actual legit community with events and places and things, it's amazing.
So how'd you find that there is a maker community? Because you've been working in a shop your whole life and making for a living, where especially fabricating or plumbing and welding gets really technical. And I just watched you were putting together the oxygen and acetylene tanks for the seat, which is
trying
cool.
to get a little rise out of people.
Yeah. I think you do a nice job, and your YouTube videos are fantastic. I mean, just so informative. And when you were talking about, the different heating jobs, I guess they were consulting jobs that you were having to do to write up, what they did wrong, because I know all the science. Well, I know a lot of the science behind carbon monoxide and what's bad for you and all of that. But while you were teaching it, you're a fantastic instructor.
I always just try to teach. So I've dealt with customers my whole life, and it's customers don't know. They don't go to schools. They don't have to worry about what they just trust a plumber they hire to do things. So I always everything I try to do, I try to teach from or explain more, not teach. I don't like to instruct people or, preach, but more instruct people on the idea of how they would perceive it, because they have zero understanding. So you got to not treat them like an idiot, but treat them in a way that the most basic way you can describe something. And I never saw myself as that person. I'm the perpetual, I'm not qualified to do that. And I think as you get older, the more became of seeing so much bad work and so many bad things and so many people that just don't know what they're talking about, preaching online, especially, you go on Facebook sites and you see these things, it's like, oh my God, this guy, he's giving out such bad information. And I also really enjoy the short attention span. Look, get to the point, say what you got to say, get the information out there. I don't need the 16 pages before the cookie recipe. Just give me the information. And I the same thing Jimmy talks about, that his videos were sped up because he doesn't want the BS that's in it. He wants the information and get that to the people as directly as he can. And then what I started to realize when I talk with guys I'm working with, I show them stuff, was that, what's the old saying? If you can't describe something simply, then you don't understand it enough yourself. When I started describing things and explaining things to people, I'm like, oh man, I guess I do understand that, and I feel like I can. I feel like I, reached a point that I can explain stuff to people and I don't feel confident doing it. It's really weird to be a little preachy and tell people how to do things, and when I talk about other people's bad work, I don't ever mean that from a negative way. I'm not bashing people. I'm not, truly trying to educate people to know better and be safe and be careful. And, even when it comes to lifting heavy things or rigging or cranes, we all take our chances, but there really has to be a serious level in that too, especially when it comes, that carbon monoxide, like you were talking, that's dangerous. It's really, really dangerous. And the people that you're providing it for have zero idea. They're just trusting you to do the right thing. And that's when I see those things, I just really can't let it go. And it's, I got to point it out. And now that there's more people watching me or seeing me on social media, it's a platform, I guess, and it's, if they can get good information, I try to give the best information I can. I guess that's one of those, if it helps one person, it's worth it kind of thing.
It's spot on. And I was watching you and I just got sucked into the videos because you were on point, you were quick, and you were accurate. And I'm looking at the work that you're looking at, and I was like, oh yeah, whoever was here sold in cheaper, and they also cut corners. And then when you have to explain to the building owner it's like going to a dentist, the same thing. It's like, I don't know what's going on with my teeth. I know it hurts. I want it to stop hurting. Here's the money, fix it. But it doesn't mean that he's the right dentist to do the job. While you're explaining all of that, I was like, holy cow, spot on.
And that's, yeah, I mean, because as a firefighter, you respond to a lot of that, CO alarms and problems and burners going haywire. And I've met you guys a lot.
It's crazy when we go in and we run into a tradesman. We're hoping the tradesman is there fixing the problem, not creating the problem.
Right.
So if he's creating the problem, we stop it and we just shut it down. If he's fixing it, but we need to know that there's competence. And you can tell just through your videos, there's competence. I remember one guy telling me, it was a woman, and she's like, I can taste the CO. I said, really? What does it taste like? She goes, it's like, and she's coughing and it's thick. And I was like, oh, really? It's tasteless and odorless. And she goes, no. I was like, okay, right. I'm wrong. Not a problem. That's great that you're able to shift it and fix it and educate. And that's why I like the video. So how'd you discover the maker community? How'd you discover all these people and all these events?
To be honest, it was all YouTube. So welding, when I grew up and started welding, there was just textbooks. So it was kind of difficult because you didn't get to see nuances. So watching Jody, I got into YouTube because of Jody, a weldmonger, and he was just the same thing, an incredible wealth of knowledge, direct to the point. And he showed you how much you could bend the rules and still be good and produce good welds and do quality welds. But he wasn't textbook, and that was crazy to see this difference, and not have a guy just telling you, nope, it's got to be this, it's got to be this, it's got to be this. And then through him, it was some day Jimmy showed up on YouTube, and I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like, now he's way off the map, just doing crazy things. And I remember telling my brother, you got to put on YouTube and watch this guy do wrestler. It's hilarious. It was actually funny. I was talking to Jimmy a few weeks ago about this. It was the car he made into a desk, which happened to be a Dart, which I love Mopars, so I'm like, he's got this crushed Dart that he made in his desk. I go, but he's tearing the car apart on a sidewalk in New York City. I'm like, I don't even think this is illegal. Like, so it just really drew my attention, and I watched him for years. And then it was 2019 at FabTech. Like, you know what? I had a couple people want to go. I was going to go. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go. I am fairly reserved as a person. I'm really not outgoing. I enjoy talking about the things I know. Like, I won't shut up when somebody wants to talk about stuff I'm interested in. But generally, I'm not going looking to be the light of the room. And I go to FabTech. I go by myself, and I'm just wandering around trying to keep to myself and not bug anybody. And Isaac Carrier on IC Weld, I hung out with him for a little bit because we've been talking before, and he was actually one of the ones that convinced me to get out there and go. He had a meetup at, I forget where it was. We were in Chicago anyway for the event, so we went to a meetup afterwards, and there's a whole bunch of guys. Everybody, Jody Colley was there. I got to have a glass of wine with him and talk with him. And JD from Apex, he was the one I was hanging out with the most. JD and his brother Big, they're just the greatest people. So it was we get along really well, and JD and I were hanging out. And I forget what it was. It was right when JD did the doors for Jimmy's garage, his TV bar, and the one he refers to. And I was talking to JD, and I go, hey, how was that? Is Jimmy all right? Is he a good dude? And he goes, oh, yeah, he's the best, this and that. And I go, okay. And, everybody's hanging around. And he goes, yeah, he should be here in like 5 minutes. Wait, what? I'm like, the rest is coming here? He's like, yeah, his plane got screwed up, so, they had to drive in, so he's a little late. I'm like, holy crap, he's going to be here. This will be cool. So I'm sitting in the booth and I got Jody Collier, I got JD, I got all these crazy welders and the Boston welder and Rush Kane. And I'm like high on life here and I have no idea how I ended up in this booth. Next thing you know, Jimmy comes flying. He slides in the booth, bangs into my shoulder. I'm starving. I need to get some chicken fingers. And I'm just looking over my shoulder. I'm like, I cannot believe this guy's sitting right next to me. So they're all, they know each other and they're all shooting a breeze. And I remember I just kind of started laughing. Jimmy looked at me and goes, what's so funny? I go, I don't know why I'm here. I go, well, can I take a picture? He's like, oh, yeah, we got a picture. And I sent it to my brother because my brother was supposed to go. And he's like, what the F are you doing? How did you end up with that? And yeah, it was just this funny happenstance of, I don't know, right place, right time, just meeting everybody at this wild menagerie of makers and YouTube guys. And it was really cool. And then, of course, being there introduced me to so many more people that I just became more engaged into this whole idea of the maker community, the maker space, the YouTube, and how everything was just growing so fast. It was crazy. And then, of course, Maker Camp came up, and I didn't go to the first couple. Then I went to, I forget, 4 years ago I started going. But yeah, and then once I went there, that was the end of it. It just sucked me right in.
Well, it's pretty funny. I spoke with Jimmy on one of the podcasts, and you go from saying hello to being friends real quickly.
Instantly.
And it's all like-minded people, and all people, like Chad said, most of us are introverts. But when we get to a maker event, we become extroverts, only because you're now comfortable, you're with your people. And when everybody works in their shop, you don't always think of your shop as a studio. You're doing a weld or an educational promo or just showing off what you made recently. But now all of a sudden you got a little traction. When did you actually start posting on YouTube? Was it right after that Fab Tech?
YouTube I haven't done as much. It was mostly, I started with Facebook, and I was a original guy. My wife was on Facebook in college when it was just the college thing, and I'm like, what is that? That's stupid. You know? And it grew into like just me being more animosity with it. Who cares? That's stupid. And then I get into it, I'm like, wow, there's some information on here. The same way YouTube, I never understood YouTube actually had this information. I thought it was just goofy videos and pranks and funny stuff. And when I found out it's informative and there's a whole different chapter in YouTube, that I'm like, okay, so I started paying more attention, learning that. Then the more groups I get into and things I'm like-minded with. I post some stuff, but I still didn't really post much until I started getting interesting things that I knew when I was trying to learn things, when I was doing stuff, I wanted to see other people doing it. And we never get to see, my father's told me stories about cool stuff he's done. He might have a Polaroid, but to actually have something out there, I started posting a little bit, and it was just on Facebook and Instagram. I was kind of quiet because Instagram just seemed to carry so much more talent behind it. So I'm like, I kind of held off there, posted a little bit. And then the videos actually started making an actual video, which I like my face, my voice. No, I didn't like, I'd write things down. I didn't want to be on a camera talking or anything like that. My oldest son wanted to make a YouTube video. He goes, I want to make YouTube videos. All right, bud, I'm gonna teach you a lesson right here. I go, I'll make a video on my Facebook. I'll put it out, and I'm gonna show you what people can say. It's real nasty, and people aren't nice, and it's a cruel world. And tried to like set up this example for him, and I forget what it even was. And my face on it, it was me. It was working and talking, and it got really good reviews. A little harassment from my good buddies and stuff, and it did so well. I'm like, oh my God, I just like. He's like, see, why can't I do it? Like. I'm like, yeah, well, and that's kind of how it turned into it. And a lot of people, it's the responses that really, really make it worthwhile doing it. It makes it so special in a way. Like I'm a nobody. I'm still a nobody, and I know a few people follow me, but it's when somebody tells you like, thanks so much, that changed the way I'm doing this, or thanks so much for that info. I was really trying to figure that out, or like the nice responses and the genuine curiosity into things is such an incredible feeling that. If you help just one person figure something out, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool, because I was always that guy. I was that guy on the other end of the phone going, hey, what do you do with that? And for somebody to reach out, and the same thing, whether it's Jimmy or Derek or, all these guys that are out in the community that do respond, and they do respond to a lot of people and try to give them information. I'm like, well, yeah, if I can do it, then I'll do my best to follow up with everybody and show my information. The more with Instagram became from Derek from Alden was the one that gave me that. He's like, you have to like cut the shit, start posting stuff, post more stuff. You need to do that. Like everybody wants to see us. I'm like, no, they don't. I'm like, you guys all do this. Like everybody does this out here. And no, you need to. And Jimmy said the same thing. And like, post your stuff. You do some weird stuff. And yeah, just kind of like grew into, it morphed into the Instagram, which is so much better than Facebook. Facebook's just a miserable place to be. Nobody's happy on there, but Instagram's so much better people and so much better activity and content. So it's grown a bit there, and it's nice. Really just kind of fell into it to prove a point to my kid that people suck, and now all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I'm on here every day preaching to all these people talking about nonsense, and here I am on a podcast. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, you're doing a podcast? I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, okay. The guy that didn't want to talk and make videos, yeah, I'm gonna go do both.
How old's your son now?
He's 14.
Oh man, what a great age. So he's a freshman in high school, sophomore.
Yep, he's great. 14. My daughter is 12, and my little guy is 8.
Oh man, you're in the thick of it. Good luck.
It's good.
Yeah, once you get the one white hair like I got, it all breaks out.
Why do the white ones grow so much faster and thicker?
Oh man, it's ridiculous. So when did you actually feel like you were part of the maker community? Because like most of us, you show up on a whim, you're like, I'll give it a try, and you get there, and then all of a sudden you meet one person, and then the next person, and then the next person, and I caught myself fanboying a guy, and he hasn't been back to a maker event that I've been to. I don't think it's got anything to do with me, but I realized, I was like, what am I doing? And like yourself, a regular guy, very approachable, but when you're looking on, this little screen, and you're like, wow, if I ever meet that guy, and you're like, yeah, I'm just a dude. But when did you feel like you were a part of the maker community?
I'll say a big shift was when, so the first maker camp I went to was I gave Austin a Bridgeport for the makerspace. I have my own Bridgeport, and then another one. It's funny when you have things, all of a sudden they start showing up and people call you. And I had a guy call me and, hey, you need a Bridgeport? I'm like, no, not really. He's like, oh, it's cheap. You need to get it out of here. And I'm like, no, not really. And finally went back and forth. He's like, come on, what do I got to do? I'm like, you drop it off my driveway for $500 and, for $1,000, $500 or $1,000, whatever it was. I go, you drop it off my driveway. I go, you got a deal. Okay, I'll drop it off tonight. Oh, man, I really didn't need another one. So, but of course, knowing a lot of people and stuff. So a friend of mine, Luke up in Maine, he's a amazing knife maker. I reached out to him. I go, hey, you need a Bridgeport? He's like, oh man, he was trying to get going and get the knife making going, and he's like, I'd love to, I can't afford it. And I'm like, no, like, take it, it's yours, use it. As long as you use it, that's cool. You stop using it, give me a call. And he had it for a bit, and then he had some family stuff he had to deal with, and he changed his day job, so he had to give up his shop at the time. And he's like, I can't hold on to the Bridgeport anymore, you want it? So I'm like, all right. So I went up and got it, and I was trying to think, I'm like, well, who's that? So I called Jimmy. I'm like, hey, anybody that needs a Bridgeport? And he goes, well, let me call Austin. He could probably use it for the makerspace. And so then that happened, and Austin's like, you got to come out. You got to come to Maker Camp. Like, that's it. You're in now. And I went out that year. I did the usual spectator and just hanging around. Same thing, feeling like an outsider. Everybody knows each other, and I'm just wandering around with googly eyes looking at them like, holy crap, there's that guy, there's that girl, there's a girl that does that. And so that was the first year. And then the next year, my service truck, my day job, has a crane on it. And Austin reached out and he goes, hey, any chance you can bring that crane out? I said, yeah, I can probably do that. He goes, all right, I'll set you up. He goes, but the timber frame guys want to, well, I don't think they were aware of it. He's like, I'd like you to help the timber frame guys put some of the stuff up for the new peacock enclosure. And, all right, sure. So I went out with that. That was actually, my son came with me. And showing up, I never went to the timber ends. I've never done the timber stuff. I didn't know any of the guys, and I come rolling in with a truck, and I don't know what a flight of stairs from a ham sandwich at this point, and never met any of the guys. And we worked together. We had a killer day, and it just went really, really good. And Jim, we sat in the bumper of the truck and just shot the breeze after that and had a beer, and that was when it felt, which was weird because it's the one thing I never did or worked with any of the guys. That's when I really felt like I was a part of something. I was a part of something that was more than what I do, probably because it was something I don't do. Jim was just such a nice guy, and just hanging out, shooting a breeze for a while. When I left that, and then the next day I was walking through camp, everybody, hey, Dave, how's it going? Oh, man, how'd the crane thing go? Now all of a sudden, yellow truck up in the corner, the crane guy. That's where Crane Dave came from. And it just really, everything felt different after that, walking around camp. And that's when it's like, wow, I can, I know some of these people by name.
Well, you're definitely now a staple of the Maker Camp community, and you had to feel pretty good laying down the welds at the Lincoln tent and getting that belt. And
that was that was a trip, because I despise, and I'm not good at that vertical welding. It's that's a tough weld to make. And everybody though, but JD and Green Money, Chris, like everybody did really, really good. And I don't know, I was lucky I won, but yeah, that was a good feeling. It was kind of weird though when they came running up, and I was actually at the Lincoln booth teaching a woman how to weld. Everybody's cheering and carrying a belt, and I stop, and she's looking around. She's like, "What's going on?" They're like, "He won!" I'm like, oh boy, this is awkward. But yeah, no, Austin and Bo and all that, and that competition, everything they put on, that was really cool, because a lot of people, there's no animosity. Like everybody's just happy to do it, win, lose, or draw. It's just fun to get to try something, practice something, and get better at something. And even the year before, Chris had that smoker that everybody worked on, and he was practicing on that. And, techniques, we're getting to hang out and talk. Chris does a lot of MIG weld, and he doesn't do as much stick. And he's like, man, I need to do more. And he was practicing that, and, just asking tips, and JD's showing people how to do stuff. And it's a really low-key, no-attitude type of place, which is so nice. Like, it's just so nice. So much different than a job site.
Yeah, because everybody's there to lift each other up and share knowledge, which nobody's gatekeeping anything.
Yeah. I grew up in an entirely gatekeeping industry.
Yeah, because if you give away the trade secret, you're not valuable anymore, and you're going to be out of work.
I kind of found myself under that umbrella for a while too, and like that was when I changed too, and that's why some of the videos and the things I do are showing a lot of the tricks I've learned over the 30 years I've been doing it. And there was a part of me for a while that I'm like, no way, like that's I came up with that idea, and like, wow, if I show somebody else, they'll know. And then who actually has a great saying is a guy, Tommy Mello. I read his book, Garage Door, A1 Garage Door. He's $1 million home service guy, but he said, he goes, I have abs. I tell everybody how to get them. Nobody does. And I looked at him like, yeah, you know what? I know how to get it too, and I don't have them. So he's like, you can teach them stuff, but it doesn't mean they're going to go do it.
Right.
And I found that an interesting perspective.
Well, do you do any teaching other than what you're showing on YouTube or Instagram?
No, that's why. I mean, every once in a while I get people to come by, which is the most humbling thing in the world. Every once in a while somebody reach out and, hey, can I come by and can you show me some welding stuff? Can you help me with some plumbing stuff? I've had people ask for life advice going through hard times. I'm like, I don't think I'm the guy for this. Every once in a while I feel like a therapist, but I'd never turn anyone. I just give them my perspective. I go, don't do what I do, but if you find something in what I've done in my life that you can emulate or you think might make yours better, then that's all right. But no, as far as teaching, like education, not really. The guys at work, we have apprentices and things like that, and I teach them. But as far as like a full-time educator, nah, just the Instagram, and it seems to be working there, so I guess we'll see how that goes. I like it. I do enjoy it. There's no better feeling than helping someone better themselves.
How many YouTube followers do you have?
YouTube, not many. There's probably, I don't even know if I broke like 200 yet, if that. But
how about Instagram?
Instagram is, I don't know where, 2,700, I think now.
Nice.
Which is trying to see where that goes, see if I can make something myself.
Yeah, doing it organically. I tried posting every day for a year and, see where I was getting. And I was on the cusp of hitting, I guess, 3,000 in a year's time. And then all of a sudden at 2,800. Because I was getting about 10 people a day consistently. And then all of a sudden it capped. And I was like, and I was getting angry, and I was wondering, the algorithm, let me research this, research that. And then I had to realize, you know what? They keep changing the algorithm. That's not my world. That's not my sphere. I'm going to post when I can post now. And what do I really want? What do I want to gain from it? So I actually talked to somebody in the meta world, and I said, what do I have to do to increase followers? And they're like, you got to get verified. I'm like, all right, so how high do I have to get until I get verified? No, you got to buy it. And I was like, so I did it. I bought it.
That's what I was thinking about doing it.
And you know what? I'm like, let me do it for a year, see what happens. And, it's a small business price and just, see what happens. But I don't think that, I'm a content creator. I don't think, and even the podcast I did it because I can spiel a little bit. I like meeting people. Like, when I sat down with you and spoke with you and Jimmy and we had lunch, and it was just nice. It was just hanging out. And
it really is.
And it was saying, like, oh, yeah, did I tell you this story about my brother John? Or did I tell you, the story about this? Or, when we did this together. And that's a nice thing because once you have a little bit of friendly connection, now the relationship builds. And so knowing that you'll be at, Sparks and Sawdust, it makes it that much easier for the price of entry. So the price of entry is really just, making yourself vulnerable and saying, I'm going to show up. And that year that it was the monsoon maker camp, I was working. So I went up for Friday, and my wife was traveling. So I had to work 24 hours on Saturday. I went up Friday. I left at 9 o'clock. I went down to the city. I stayed at the firehouse. I woke up at the firehouse. I was at work. I worked 24 hours. It rained like a banshee. I missed the whole thing. I went back up Sunday. A bunch of people had left already, and I got to enjoy another day. And I didn't have the experience of maker in the rain. I didn't need to be maker in the rain.
Yeah, that was a trip for sure, and I'm glad I hit out in the job.
Yeah,
it's
being on concrete is good.
Yeah, it really is like meeting people and growing that. And like you said, exactly what you said is how I feel organically, like trying to grow something and build the channel and do things. Like I do want to do more YouTube. I don't have a lot on there because it's just consuming, the work takes enough time, and then trying to get that. Instagram's a little faster pace, and I do want to be organic. I don't want people to follow me just because of some flash in a pan thing or some wacky thing. I made that one the other day just to see what would happen welding the oxyacetylene tanks. Of course, they weren't full. They're fake. I had a torch out of my truck and I lit that, and then I welded the tanks. I just wanted to see what would happen. Would that actually get any kind of viral response out of it? And it got a fair amount of shares, but it's still it's that same one that teeter-totters on the, I played with putting the skull and crossbones as the teaser, and it's like learning that is just like learning how to weld or learning how to fix cars or learn how to be a plumber. It's a skill and a craft, and to do it to a way that people want to interact with. So like I said, that's the thing, being organic. Like if I don't have a lot of followers, but they really do enjoy what I do, then that's what I want more than people who just, click the subscribe or the follow button or whatever, just because one time I did something they like. And I don't want to put on an act for anybody. I'm not a character. I mean, I don't mind goofing around. Actually, I'm way worse. I'm such a goofball and an idiot. I sing and talk to myself all day in the shop. That'd probably be more amusing than what people actually see. But yeah, no, like you said, I think that's the best way to put it. If you're genuine, that's what Jimmy does. Derek, that's what these guys do. They're genuine. That's why everybody loves them. That's why they enjoy watching them. It's not a TV show. It's not scripted. It's not BS. It's who they are, really.
Yeah, well, watching Jimmy and John's show, Hammered, I told him, I said, you were the guy making things, and your brother was there as comic relief. I said, I think you were funnier than John was, because, it's the brother dynamic.
Yeah, that's for sure. You put your brothers in a room, you never know what'll happen.
Yeah. All right, let me give you a couple of rapid-fire questions.
Shoot.
Pizza or tacos?
Gotta go tacos.
East Coast guy going with tacos?
I love pizza, and I know where all the best pizza places are, but a nice handcrafted taco, can't beat it.
Okay. What's your favorite tool in your toolbox?
My hands.
Good answer.
I think I'd have to say my hands, because I take them with me everywhere I go.
That's a good one. What are you listening to in the shop?
YouTube a lot. Central Craftsman's been on the playlist. I kind of just leave it going. Mostly podcasts and books. I actually just finished up the last lecture. That's a great book. A guy who had cancer. It's a terrible premise, but embraced it and gave a last lecture as a professor, and that one's pretty good. And the Blue Collar Journal, I got that one going now. Yeah, it's a mix, and then some days it's just crank the music and forget everything.
Who is your biggest inspiration in the maker community?
Boy, in the community, it's easy to say Jimmy. God, I almost feel like it's forcing my hand to say Jimmy, just because of he's a guy you want to emulate, and not so much the maker, but his generosity. I firsthand have got to feel that. I have his milling machine, his Tormach. That's the same premise when I gave the knife maker the Bridgeport. He gave it to me and said, use it, learn it, do something with it. If you don't, bring it back. And it was just that. People don't do that. People don't act like that, and I guess he's up there on that list just because I've grown to become friends with him. So I guess it's become more than just a guy I watch or listen to.
Sure. What about somebody that's inspiring to you today, somebody that's new or up and coming that you've discovered recently?
Boy, that's a good one. I don't know. There was such a long list, and some of the big names, like I brought up IC Well before. He's kind of newer to YouTube. He's been doing it for a couple of years now, but He's another one that he just carries so much knowledge with him, and he has so much experience, and that's where experience comes from knowledge, and it comes from making mistakes, and he just has so much, and for him to put it out, what he does for a living is so much work, and it's so much hard work, and seeing his son come up, and his son's working with him now, and in welding school and everything, his family they're just such great people. Like I said, getting to know him too, he's probably one that I think is a little underrated, and he could definitely use a little more support on YouTube and everything, and just such a talented guy.
Okay. We'll have to link that in the show notes so we'll get a couple more follows for him. If money or time wasn't an issue, what would you be working on?
Exactly what I'm doing. I'd spend more time with, cars and motorcycles are where I cut my teeth as a kid, from dirt bikes and go-karts to cars and everything. That's where welding all started for me. I realized I couldn't pay sheet metal guys and body guys to fix cars for me. I'm like, well, I could buy a welder for like $2,500, and then realized I didn't know how to weld either or hang body panels. So it was a snowball at the top of the hill. I didn't realize it was going to be an avalanche, but I'd just be locked in my shop doing all the same stuff.
All right. And then what's a project that you want to work on?
That'd probably be, I'm looking around at the 100 unfinished things here. It's the one to work on. Realize spending more time with the kids, teaching them. I'm looking around all the mechanical things, and they'll be there tomorrow. They always will, but the kids just keep getting older, and some days I feel like I'm not doing a good enough job in that department.
Well, we could all do a little better. Who would you like to collaborate with if you could work with anybody? Doesn't have to be a maker.
It's probably what everybody would say. One thing I don't do, or I don't show a lot of, and I haven't been doing much of, my real thing I truly enjoy and love doing is handcrafting sheet metal. Whether it's motorcycle fenders and gas tanks and body panels and accents, and that is truly an art form. Being able to meet Eric Gorgeous a couple of years ago, and now being a friend of Eric's, he's such a wealth of knowledge. He's an incredible craftsman. I get to pick his brain. I get to work with him. If I could do anybody, it would probably be Jesse James, just for his vast knowledge of the sheet metal industry in making things by hand for so long. He's definitely got a lot of knowledge up in that brain of his.
All right. Where can people find all your good work if they want to?
Instagram, DTB Fabrication. TikTok, actually, I just started getting into that about a few months ago, so the same content's going on there too. And YouTube, every time somebody asks me, I keep saying I'm going to post more on there, but I haven't. But YouTube, same thing, DTB Fabrication.
All right. Well, Dave, thanks so much for spending time with me on Create and Connect. I'm glad we got to meet up at Maker Camp, have lunch together, and I'm looking forward to going down to Papa Chad's and seeing what goes on down at the White Trash Hacienda.
Oh man, I can't wait! Man, I can't thank you enough for having me on here. It's a blessing, the things I get to do these days.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy guy and a family man, and I appreciate you squeezing me in.
Anytime.
All right. I want to thank Dave for joining me on Create and Connect podcast. It was really great to spend some time with him, to get to know him a little better. If you have the opportunity to meet him, he's a great guy. He's a family man, a good friend, and a very, very talented welder. And he's got some great videos out there. You can always check him out on DTB Fabrications on Instagram. He also has a YouTube channel if you want to check out some of his instructional videos. Even if you don't need any of the instructions, he puts on a good show on YouTube. Well, I want to thank you also, the listener, for tuning in today. And remember, keep creating, keep connecting.